Assalamu alaikum, Adab, very good afternoon from our Bolton studio, B-Buzz Media, UK. My name is Imtiaz Patel, Varediawala, and thank you for watching, thank you for connecting with us. Once again, we are very happy and it is our privilege to welcome Maulana Kari Faruk Samniwala Sahib, who takes time out of his very extremely busy schedules, especially in the month of Ramadan. He is also a very busy man. Maulana Sahib, as far as his brief introduction is concerned, he was born in India, and he came to UK back in 1969 with a strong academic and religious education and interfaith work. He served as a teacher before becoming an imam, and later he became a chaplain at Bolton Hospital NHS Foundation Trust based in Bolton. He dedicated over 38 years as a volunteer, especially in health sectors and community center sectors. And my limited but very in-depth interaction with Maulana indicates that, Alhamdulillah, Maulana Sahib brings a very strong multi-faith background knowledge, very strong community background, social background, and Maulana Sahib is well connected with the all sections of the community, including young people. And hence today, the topic is going to be month of Ramadan and youth, and this show, as you know, is the Varediawala Show, and this comes under the category of community window. Maulana Sahib, Jazakallah once again. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And thank you for coming to our program.
You're welcome.
So Maulana Sahib, how's month of Ramadan so far?
So far so good, Imtiaz Bhai, and Alhamdulillah, we have finished half of it and going downhill, and time will come that we'll be celebrating Eid,
Inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
Inshallah. So Maulana Sahib, this episode's topic, we thought that we've been talking to a lot of people in the community in the light of Ramadan and young people, and how Ramadan affects the young people, how they look at it. Can you tell us something about the starting point of Ramadan, our code of conduct, our spirit in terms of spirituality, our spirit in terms of our code of conduct, how we look after ourselves, how we look after our family, how we look after our neighbors, and how we look after our society and the nations where we are living in. So put us in context, please.
First and foremost, Imtiaz Bhai, this month of Ramadan, not Muslims, but non-Muslims are aware now that it's a holy month for Muslims around the globe. And from this holy month, the Muslims especially, who fast in this holy month and who do other spiritual, religious deeds, actions. So from the whole of the context of the deeds the Muslim performs in the holy month of Ramadan, the lesson the Muslim should get is that we should prepare ourselves for our future. We should prepare ourselves for our world hereafter, and we should prepare ourselves for our daily life.
Okay.
And Ramadan teaches us, whether spiritual wise, whether physical wise, whether social wise, whether in any aspects of our life, the lessons for human being is there.
Okay.
And once Ramadan finishes, we should ponder that what kind of lesson I have gained from this holy month of Ramadan.
Okay.
And the lesson which we have gained, we should put that in practice. For instance, if we stayed hungry for 30 or 29 days in Ramadan, and we were very punctual with our daily worship in terms of praying 5 daily salat, giving out charity, looking after our neighbors, and looking after our parents, looking after our elders in the community, that should follow on after the month of Ramadan. Also, if you look at the youth sector in our community, in the month of Ramadan, they also become very religious in terms of fulfilling their duty in the month of Ramadan. And also, because in the month of Ramadan, they get some sort of training either at home or in the mosque from the elders, from the scholars of Islam, from the imams, from the Maulanas. So they change their lifestyle in the month of Ramadan. So they should keep that lifestyle after the month of Ramadan until the next month of Ramadan.
Okay.
So if they adopt their lifestyle according to the way they were adapting in the month of Ramadan, then they could set a good example for another youth, and they should also set a good example for their own family and for their own children in future.
Okay. Quite interesting, Maulana Sahib, you mentioned, and this program is focused on the month of Ramadan and youth. And something comes to my mind. I was reading a book written by the Plato, and also a book written by Jai Vasawda Sahib, who is a very knowledgeable person from India. And they mention quite interesting about youth, the definition of youth. And I like that definitions. We all have our own definitions. This is just based on what I have read. Youth is not only about the age, but youth is all about energy. Youth is all about vision. Youth is all about courage. Youth is all about dreaming big. And youth is all about achieving those dreams and preparing themselves for the future leadership. That is positive, and I want to give these compliments to our young people of all sections, wherever they live, from local to global. The hard question comes to my mind, Maulana Sahib, that recently, even during the month of Ramadan, we have witnessed some South Asian youth people's violent activities in the cities of London, part of London, and some pockets of London, including Leicester as well. And recently, we have just covered one program, a brief program about young people getting involved in violent activities in one part of the Bolton. So where does this youth and violence comes in, and how would you see, and how would you perceive, and how would you look into this situation that this cannot be go on like this when it comes to South Asian youths?
In terms of this violence which recently happened in Bolton during the month of Ramadan, I can say that the lesson the youth get from the month of Ramadan, they should carry on and they should implement that lesson in their life until the next Ramadan. And far as my knowledge goes, that and experience, that the youth who are engaged in this violence, the main factor behind is lack of knowledge, lack of proper upbringing, and I think so, if I can say that the parents should take care of the children from the very tender age.
Okay.
If you look after your children from the very tender age, and if you give them a good education, whether it's a religious education, whether it's a worldly education, then that knowledge will guide those youngsters. And if they don't have a proper knowledge, then they can drift away from a right path onto a wrong path. And if they don't have a right knowledge, and if they don't have a right upbringing, then they will engage in a wrong companionship, they will have wrong friends, they will engage themselves in very evil activities. So all these things leads to this type of violence amongst the youngsters. So if they have a proper education, and education is must, that is the core of their life, which they can build their life on, which they can set an example for themselves, for their friends, for their families, for their children. But sometimes what happens is that they have an education, but they are in a wrong friendship, they are in the wrong companionship, and that leads them to evil actions, wrong path. So my best advice will be that education is must, and upbringing from the very tender age, that is the responsibility of the parents.
Yeah, and Maulana Sahab, correct me if I'm wrong, but we are talking about small portion of young people. So we are not blaming every young persons. We are not blaming majority of young people. But again, I think one bad deeds of individuals reflects bad upon families, society, and nation. So as one good deed reflects good upon family, nations, and society. So it does have a knock-on effect. Whether one person does something bad or good, it does have a knock-on effect. Do you think that the confusing identity, born and brought up in this country, the home environment is very South Asians in this context, very Islamic. Do you think young people are still suffering from that split personality or confused identity, if I may use that word?
I think that plays a major role in our community, but that will fade away, because when we were growing up in this country, our parents were from India, and the culture they had in the houses, that's South Asian culture. But the parents who are born and bred in this country, their culture is different than our ancestors' culture. So it makes a lot of impact if the child gets two cultures in his life, and that will not enhance his progress in the society, but the confusing part will come into his life, because he's going through one specific culture in the home and another culture in the society. So that is the confusing bit for that person. And I think so that confusion leads to some actions and act which is not appropriate for that youngsters to be in.
Okay. Maulana Sahab, last two questions, which may sound sensitive, but I'm sure that we can have an openness and maturity to discuss it in an intellectual way, in an academic way. That we have to admit that up to some extent, we, the South Asian people, and particularly in the context of this program, Ramadan, Muslim society do have a problem. We have a problem with drug, and statistics are there. We have a problem with alcohol as well. We have a problem of domestic violence, mental health, and so on and so forth, as it happens in many society. Do you think that it's a failure of individuals, families, and our institutions?
Problem with these things, Imtiaz Bhai, whether it's a drug related, whether it's alcohol related, whether it's a violence related, I think so it's a responsibility not just for parents, but it's a responsibility for the whole of the Muslim community.
True.
And
You mean collective responsibility? As well?
collective responsibility.
Yes, yeah.
Because if the parents are putting their effort behind the children, but if that child is not getting a proper environment in the community, so then that specific child will have a problem. So, and there are lack of resources in our community. If we have a proper planned program for the youth, like in the community center, in the mosque, in some other settings, and if we have a drug awareness program, if we have a program which teach the youth that how you can become a good Muslim and how you can be an example for another youngsters or your friends or the society. So we have lack of awareness program, and lack of educational program for the youth.
Do you think our religious institutions, that includes mosques, darulooms, khankas, and madrasas, are not properly utilized?
They are doing some programs, and they are putting their effort behind the youth, but not to the extent we are expecting. So we should increase those programs, and we should also involve many youth from the community in large,
And get them connected
and get
with
them
the
connected
religious
to the
institutions.
religious institution, to the darul rooms, to the
Yes.
mosque, to the religious societies
Yes.
who are working outside the mosque.
Yeah.
So there are ample venues where we can direct the youth if we have the facilities.
Okay, thank you. Maulana Sahab, last question. We talked about challenges. We talked about difficult issues, sensitive issues. But along with those challenges, we have to come up with some kind of solutions and remedies. So if you have to change one policy within our society, because you are in a very responsible positions, you are in a very powerful positions as well, Maulana Sahab, hundreds and thousands of people follow you. So if you have to suggest one policy or one remedy for our society, that look, we can do A, B, C, D in order to minimize all these situations, what that policy would be?
The policy would be, Imtiaz Bhai, is that I will try to connect the youth with our mosque, Islamic institution, our Islamic charities, and educational establishment in general. So if they are linked and connected with this type of institution and establishment, they will get a good guidance, and they can become a star and a hero for the future generation.
Thank you. As I said in the beginning, Maulana Sahab, thank you very much for that very open, very sincere, very intellectual discussion debate. As I said right at the beginning, કે યુવાની જે છે ને youthful, એ ફક્ત એજ નથી, એ એક તાકાત છે, એક સપનું છે, એક ઉર્જા છે, અને એ આવનારી પેઢી માટે આપણું જે આગેવાની જે તૈયાર કરવાની છે લીડરશિપ, એનું એક પ્રોસેસ છે. So we respect young people, we love young people, we appreciate the energy, the dreams, the courage they have got. The only thing one has to be very careful is channelize those energies, channelize those enthusiasm, channelize your dreams into the right directions, because people at this age, which is the first, second generations, now relying on you to build better future, not only for yourself, but for your family, for your society, and the nation where you live in. This is Imtiaz Patel Varediawala here, along with my producer, CEO and founder Faruk Bhai, who is working very hard behind the scene, and of course our studio manager and editor Sadab Bhai. And on behalf of the entire Beavers team, we would like to thank you, Maulana Kari Sahab, to come into the studio and really accept our offer at such a short notice. And every week we will start picking up some interesting topics which would be useful, informative, and it would empower you individually and as a society. Keep watching Beavers. This is Imtiaz Patel Variawala, local to global, global to local. Thank you.